My husband is a Chelsea football fan.
No way.
Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is currently going through the most disappointing climax, and things weren't looking too great from out on the football pitch either. Manchester United would slump to 15th in the league. 3 even remotely competent promoted teams, so they genuinely might have been in a relegation battle with Tottenham. A side they would then be defeated by in the Europa League final to give the one team banned from winning any silverware some actual level of credible silverware. After making mortal enemies now with Tottenham's local rivals Arsenal, they would be truly beaten on game week 1. And would this be a sign of things to come? Well, when United fans threw Grimsby in the Carabao Cup, it's fair to say they were expecting a win. However, Grimsby's manager didn't quite agree.
Just lower your expectations, man.
A 12-11 loss in a penalty shootout would follow. Taking that many penalties and being on the losing team, you should actually be disqualified from next year's competition as well. Grimsby had taken a 2-0 lead in this game. United had fought back, but then had lost after full regulation time. Clearly, Ruben Amorim only discovering he was actually managing a football match halfway through his annual Connect 4 tournament didn't help. And another mitigating factor in this situation was, of course, the existence of Andrea Nana. He was guiding every penalty into the back of his own net with a nice thank you and goodbye as it soared past him, and it really called into question Ruben Amorim in a very different sense. I mean, obviously finishing 15th in the league was bad enough, but this was absolutely humiliating, embarrassing, and despite all his tactical tinkering with his tactics ball down on the touchline, it didn't really seem as if anything was changing. Ruben Amorim was stuck in his ways. It was 5 at the back or nothing at the back, I suppose. I wouldn't recommend that tactic either, but it probably would have worked better. Ruben had a very strong stance when anybody asked him to change even the slightest element of his off-the-ball pressing from a wide area. Yeah, this man was not down to change anything. He could be seen laughing at his phone during press conferences, probably because a United fan had asked to see whether Kochi was held in a high-security prison somewhere in Siberia, and they'd go on to take their annual pumping by Brentford. With fairness, there were some positives. They beat Liverpool at Anfield. If you want to see my thoughts on that situation, then you can check my most recent video out on Kevin Code. Overall, they were incapable of taking their chances when it came to breaking into the top 4. They were consistently inconsistent. And jokes made by Ruben Amorim suggesting that his meetings with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe were about contract extensions didn't exactly fly too well with United supporters. They then welcomed Bournemouth to Old Trafford, where they draw in potentially their game of the season so far, an absolute whirlwind of batshit mental catastrophes that led to a 8-goal thriller and a 4-4 draw. Eli Junior Krupi managed to survive being abducted by aliens, but there was far too much space in United's defence. A 2-1 loss to Aston Villa was expected before some brief respite against Newcastle, but draws against the Wolves side that had 2 points going into the game, followed by another unconvincing draw against Leeds, and everybody sure that he was not the man. I mean, he wasn't getting the best out of his players. Matheus Cunha looked like a shell of his former self at Wolves. United fans knew they were tuning in for some of the worst football that the English Association has ever seen before. I mean, it's one thing to be haramble, but haramble usually comes with actually winning. These lot were just playing like shit for the pure love of the game. Eventually, even Ruben Amorim himself broke.
No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
And on the 4th of January, Ruben Amorim was arrested. I say arrested because, honestly, look, to do this with a football establishment such as Manchester United is a heinous crime. I fucking hate United, and a lot of people do. And I was enjoying seeing what he was doing there. But with recent revelations, like, he probably should be on that list as well. Not even for anything to do with what some of the other people have been caught doing, but I'm just saying, this was illegal of the highest order. And what was so bizarre during Ruben Amorim's time was, I think some of the stuff that he said about the club, not really understanding the ethos of the club and giving youngsters a chance. His refusal to play Kochi was just insane. Throwing the poor kid to the wolves by just saying he was basically shit in training. In 2 years, we're going to find out about a secret affair that he had with Manuel Ugarte from the Daily Star. Because there's no other reason why he'd be consistently playing a man with the same technical ability as a shop assistant from Asda in the centre, in the heart of his midfield. Especially over a kid who played in the final of Euro 2024 at the age of about 13. What is the brain capacity or lack of brain power that you're even using there? So he would come down with Fletcher, then we would see Michael Carrick take on the reins, and immediately there was a turnaround. These lot were popping the ball around Manchester City like it was nobody's business, like they were a group of year 7s in the playground. This is Manchester City. Pep Guardiola is the originator of tiki-taka, and he was being out-tikied and out-tackered by a man who was managing at Middlesbrough last year. He was watching Rodri get the Ballon d'Or whooped out of him. I mean, United won this game 2-0. It could have easily been more. They had more than enough chances to make this even more embarrassing than it already was for City. Don't get it twisted, a City side that's been poor at times this season. I don't believe they're going to win the league. I think Arsenal will. They are far too inconsistent and have too many defensive issues. But United absolutely battered them from all around. It was convincing. Gianluigi Donnarumma kept them in the game. A late offside that made no sense whatsoever and clearly looked on. Again, made it less embarrassing than it should have been. This game could have been like 6-0 to United. So an amazing start straight off the bat. But next up is an even harder challenge. Arsenal away at the Emirates. Yeah, at this point, things would start to get a little bit suspicious. Now, in the change, Ruben Amorim leaving and Michael Carrick joining, Michael Carrick had decided to make a change that I think every single sane football fan, with even like all brain cells to put together, would want to make if they were suddenly appointed as Manchester United manager. He switched from a 5 at the back to a 4 at the back. Not only did that just help them defensively, but it also created a lot more balance in midfield. But it did kind of mean that some players would have to get shifted around. And one of those players was Patrick Dorgu, who in fairness had been having trialled further forward by Ruben Amorim as well, but not with the same success. Michael Carrick put Patrick Dorgu at left wing, and it changed everything. This was getting towards Juju potential now, okay? We were seeing Patrick Dorgu lashing in a hard volley against Arsenal in off the crossbar of the Emirates. Patrick Ballon Dorgu, Borussia. This isn't even making any sense. Although he would continue the Gareth Bale left back to a lead left winger trajectory a little bit too convincingly by then incinerating his hamstring. Either way, Manchester United were good. Arsenal had taken the lead through Lisandro Martinez on goal, and then by conducting some level of assault charges on United's goalkeeper Lawrence. But bangers and beautiful goals kept United in this to the point where they would then go and win it late on with a Matty Musquini and Canada. Some great work from Benjamin Sesko in the build. Acuna saw himself serving above Chelsea and Liverpool in the table, and United had scored 3 goals against a side that hadn't conceded a shot on target since 98. Roll on Fulham now, and in fairness to Manchester United, one trick they did and have had over the last few years is that they would perform well against the big teams. They turn up on big occasions from time to time. It was the teams they should be beating they would have trouble with. So when they came across Fulham at Old Trafford and took a 2-0 lead, it looked like they dispelled those worries. I mean, we had Casemiro doing no-look passes. Well, Casemiro could hardly do a look pass last season. The football had firmly returned to him. Himself, Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes, balanced and confident in Manchester United's midfield. But United, of course, managed to make a hatchet proceedings because they are chaos ball this season. They threw away that 2-goal lead with a Jimenez penalty and a Kevin goal. But, in fairness, Fulham managed to avoid everybody all season by just somehow performing above their means without really signing, massive players and with a squad that just shouldn't be able to do what it does. I mean, a geriatric Raul Jimenez is still somehow helping them to respectable mid-table finishes. Bob and Kevin have taken time out of their busy schedule attempting to steal the moon to be part of their front three. Meanwhile, Harrison Reed was doing absolutely nothing because, of course, his only contribution this season was to score an absolute scraper against Liverpool. I'm impressed, though, because this game even then featured some late Manchester United traditional chaos ball. And then see Benjamin Sesko go at the other end of the pitch a minute later and rifle the ball into the top corner on the turn, applying a Donovan Fergie time straight onto Marco Silva's forehead. And to be fair to Sesko, he's looked pretty decent. He got a bit of, brief at the start of the season, but when he's been used, he scored some important goals and he's got some nice link-up play. Then would come Tottenham, and I don't really know what you were expecting. Of course, this is a 4th win in a row. Christian Romero had gone into this game with a sense of frustration, ranting on Instagram about Enig and the board and their lack of investment in the January transfer window. He said they didn't have enough players available, so he managed to combat that by getting himself sent off and directly lowering the amount of players that Tottenham have available. His challenge on Casemiro was crazy. The ankles left him. This brother's always 7 millimetres away from disaster, honestly. It was a simple victory from that point onwards. Again, Manchester United looked good value for their win. Benjamin Sesko, I give him that praise, did miss a sitter at the end of the game. Bruno Fernandes was probably catching him and ready to beat him up, wasting an opportunity to get near that Thierry Henry assist record. And United now have got a positive double-digit goal difference. These lot ain't eaten this good for about 4 seasons now. How greedy. And look, it is to say, lads, it's Tottenham, but Michael Carrick has done a good enough job with astute tactics and tweaks, tactical changes and personnel choices that suggest that he can beat good teams in this division and different teams. Man City, Arsenal, Fulham and Tottenham. It's not an easy run, you know. And realistically, how has Michael Carrick done this? Because a lot of people have talked and spoken at length about the Manchester United way. And I believe that to an extent. He's come in and he does know the club. But I don't think it's just as simple as, yo, he's brought the good vibes back. I think he's just done something that I was saying, and I think a lot of United fans as well were saying, is he's just kind of gone back to basics a little bit. Don't get it twisted. Tactically, they're a step above what they were under Ruben Amorim. I'm not going to go fully into detail into that because there are smarter and more intelligent people who would want to hear that from. But I think at base level, he's recognised certain players who weren't getting game time who should be. I'm looking at Kobe Manu here. I've never understood, and I'm so glad to have my opinion. I hate Manchester United. I just like it when I say something is right. You know, I've said for the longest time it made no sense that Kobe Manu wasn't getting any game time. People were suggesting, oh, well, was he really that good? Like, no, he obviously was. There's a potential there for a generational talent, as much as I hate to say it, and to be squandered like that over an 18-month period is genuinely ludicrous. I mean, Ruben Amorim had his tactical ideology and his setup. It worked at Sporting. He didn't have the players when he first arrived. And I think one of the most crucial skills that a manager can have is to look at his side, evaluate it, and work out what works and what's good for each player that he has. You can have a system if you like, and you can try and adapt it a little bit, but if you've got no players that can do it, why are you doing it? I always thought Arne Slot last season, I know things have gone to shit, but I really appreciated how he was able to look at our back four and go, this works, this is fine. You don't need to do anything too insane with it because it's quite stable. It's fallen apart this year, but it was stable at the time. I'm going to deploy Ryan Gravenberch as a 6 and have him press resistant in front of them. And it completely revolutionised Ryan Gravenberch's role at the club. Jurgen Klopp couldn't even get that out of him. Arne Slot identified a player and worked out what a potential skill set could be within his system. Ruben Amorim never did that. He decided he wanted 2 holding defensive midfielders, like central midfielders that had to do defensive work. He wanted 3 at the back. He wanted wing backs. He wanted tucked-in wingers. You've got a set of wing backs that don't really like doing that. Dorgu came in and was better, but Dalot, that's not his skill set. He's not good in the final third. The centre backs were okay, but they had a lot of injuries. They were then having to play Agent Heaven a little bit out of his depth at times, or play players that didn't really work in a 3 as well. Bruno Fernandes was having to do defensive work. Why? Play him as a 10. He has mastered that position. Why would you not play him there? He's not going to track back. That's not his job. That's not what he should be doing. So why would you do it? You've got Kobe who sat on the bench because you're insisting on playing a 2 in midfield, and the only 2 that you feel like you can play in a 2 is Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. Casemiro's not got the legs to be able to cover a 2 midfield when he's playing against 3, and Bruno Fernandes shouldn't be doing defensive work. So play a 3 and introduce Kobe Manu. Amad Diallo is one of your most exciting wingers, and you can't even get him into the team properly because you don't play with wingers. It was very simple stuff. Michael Carrick has come in, evaluated the squad that he hasn't gone, this makes way more sense. Why the fuck would I play a 2 in midfield when I can play a really balanced 3 who all complement each other well? It means that I can play Bruno Fernandes in the creative 10 like he actually wants to be played in, and have Kobe Manu and Casemiro behind. That's class when they're actually playing well together. Dalot doesn't have to be a wing back. He can just chill and be a right back. Don't get twisted. He's not great at that either, but he's better. The likes of Verbo and Cunha now have places in the team that are a little bit more natural to them. It's actually not rocket science. There are astute tactical decisions that he's making, absolutely, that are part of his system, but at base core level, he looked at the side, looked at the players and went, you're good at that, I'll let you do that. You're good at that, I'll let you do that. And you're good at that, I'll let you do that. Manchester United fans now, their team is actually entertaining to watch. Manchester United have gone from being one of the worst teams in the league to watch as a neutral to being one of the most enjoyable. I am genuinely jealous that I'm able to watch Cody Gakpo week in, week out. Honestly, I would say, yeah, Manchester United genuinely, there's definitely improvement. And I would honestly say, of the balance of what I've seen so far, unless it is just a new manager bounce, but it doesn't feel like it should be that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was vibes. That was just bringing the good times back. He was a good manager, but it was more man management. He can get the most out of the players by just being boys with them. Whereas Carrick actually is a good tactical manager as well, so if he can combine those 2 things together, I genuinely don't see a reason why United can't finish in the Champions League spots. They have got a good squad. They actually had a good summer transfer window. I remember saying at the time it was good. Lament's a good goalkeeper and underrated. Cunha and Verbo are good players. performed well in the Prem last season. Seshko was, a little bit of a risk, to be honest with you, and I think there's potential to be better, but we still haven't seen anywhere near the best of him yet. They have good options. They've got a midfield three now that's actually balanced as well, and really performing very, very well. If they can get a couple of their injured centre-backs back in, but players look good though. Lisandro's been all right too. I'm concerned because I want to see Liverpool get into the Champions League. I don't want to play with Turkmenistan next season. They will be in the competition. But either way, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Manchester United fans, are you back? Are you hesitant? Where do you think you're going to finish in the league this season? If you have enjoyed this one though, feel free to slap a like on it. 6,000 likes please. That's the goal always. So make sure to subscribe.
It only takes one little miscalculation or slip of the tongue, and everything you've built can begin to slip from your grasp. It's something plenty of internet personalities have experienced over the years, watching their whole little empire crumble under the weight of a scandal. At the moment, someone who's trying to fight against that exact tide is none other than Los Boyos TV. Although he's never exactly been universally beloved, this divisive, abrasive streamer has always had his audience, even if it felt like many of them just wanted to torture him.
Your bloodstream is made out of ketchup. I don't even put ketchup like that. Los, you're built like a caterpillar. You know, saying, oh, your eyebrows are, just saying that I'm built like that doesn't even make any sense, bro. Los can't look down at his little feet standing up. It's being spanned. First of all, what?
But now, this longtime content creator out of New Jersey is spiraling, as his grasp on the public opinion spirals out of control, under the weight of a decision to wander into territory he's ignorant of, and left the whole world waiting on his downfall.
Running up on ice agents? Stalking them down? That's not a protest. How the fuck is that a protest? So yeah, I'm sorry I said I was annoying, but I was talking about what the fuck that is. Whatever the fuck that is, yeah, that's fucking annoying, bro. No, bro. No, dude, this is why I was mad the way I worded it, because I even wrote it. Yes, dude, protest perfectly fine.
Issue will waste and this is how a single tweet destroyed Los Boyos TV's career. In the event that you really don't know, let's get the details out of the way of who this 5'9", roughly 240-pound 30-year-old man really is, and what he has to lose. Ever since 2015, Los Boyos, whose real name is Lewis, has been aspiring to be something more than just a kid from New Jersey. And now, he's maintained that others can do the same thing.
You decide how are you going to live. You're unhappy in the current situation? Get in a fucking better situation, bro. Figure out a way. You can figure it out. If other people figure out, you can figure it out, bro. If people can become billionaires and millionaires and whatever, you can figure it out, right? I know it's hard, bro. Do you think, listen, bro, do you think anything that's worth, that people want, that's worth that, do you think it's just going to be easy, bro? Maybe it's hard. Yeah, it's fucking hard. Life is fucking hard, bro. And I don't give a fuck when anyone's like, oh, dude, you're like a streamer, you sit in a chair. I don't care, bro. The amount of fucking failure and disappointment that I've had in my life, bro, has led me to this moment, bro. I was talking about this the other day, and it brought up a lot of old things. A lot of old things, bro.
Once upon a time, he saw himself as a disappointment. Earlier in his life, he suffered through a major breakup, while his plans to play AAU basketball fell through when his tryout didn't go to plan. Although he eventually made varsity, failing 2 classes eventually meant that he couldn't play, essentially dashing his hoop dreams forever. Instead, he found a new path in streaming by playing NBA 2K, and from 2014, he's been steadily on that grind.
Alright, let's see. Okay, we got a gold. We got a gold. What the fuck? What the hell? I literally never was at 20 viewers. And I got extremely lucky. My first stream, there was like a glitch on 2K, and I'm not even trying to be an asshole. There was never a time when I had 20 viewers in my stream, bro. Sometimes I think, and it makes me a little, like, not sad, but it's like this feeling of, like, there's people who did watch me all those years ago. Let's say they were, like, 16 years old, bro. 9 years ago? Dude, that's a 25-year-old man now. That's actually crazy.
And through sheer perseverance, he's raised his profile to the point that he now has over 800,000 followers on Twitch. Although he played games online, what really brought him to larger infamy outside of his 2K and eventual Fortnite bubble was when his self-professed status as a Drake stan led him to getting trolled in debates by Anthony Fantano.
Have you never went... Okay, listen, I know know you haven't, but for the other people who are watching, have you ever went on a drink and drive, bro? That might sound drink and drive. Sure. Sure. Not a term. It says that. Do people actually say it? They say that shit, bro. I'm saying you just driving at night, drink comes on.
Okay, listen.
It's sitting there the lyrics, bro.
Okay, listen. I will admit that when if you're reading this, it's too late came out. I did go on a couple drink and drives.
And how did that feel? How did it feel?
It was like driving to any other kind of music I like.
And ever since they first linked up for a debate, it's been an ongoing thing.
The vast majority of the album just kind of feels like very inoffensive R&B wallpaper, which is why I'm feeling that way.
I mean, did we expect anything different? I mean, I'm shocked that they did it too. I mean, did we expect differently? This is the same person who said that ASI's album was better than CLB. Just take that into consideration.
Obviously, it's not a lot to raise most of that consideration. But not all publicity is good publicity. And while more people now knew who he was, the vast majority of them essentially saw him as ridiculous being.
Diba? Más me da un papel para tú a firmar para él. No más como que el Chapo cita a pasar. Y además algo como para para tú saber como su grado que él quita a beber para pasar. ¿La qué? No, dijo, la abuelita dijo, está bien, no, nada. Más era todo para el examen que van a hacer. Unos del 23, unos del 28, no, y 26 y 20. Es como diferente. Sí. No estaba enojado. Además cuando ya salimos, para ahí. Ok, y ahí. Vamos a ir las 5 para llegar a las 6, vamos a llevarla al autobús. Venga.
This guy definitely cares about Drake's music much more than Drake himself. Man, this dude had more energy in his defense than Drake did in the whole album. Throughout his streaming career, his perception that Los is an easy target for being dunked on has persisted. In fact, where most streamers have a mutual respect between them and the audience they rely on, Los Pollos is regularly disrespected by his own community.
You guys like the shirt? Superman, more like Super Tubby. You're getting fucked, man. The man loves stealing your food. Our eggs? You're nasty from the band, bro. Man, a meal.
Superman boobs? Alright. We're done with this spot. Start timing.
At times, this might be just lighthearted trouble. However, there are some people whose sole mission seems to be to actively not care whether he lived or died.
Okay. Back in the day. Hey, love it. What? Well, I was like joking. Someone goes, yes, fine.
Ultimately, Los is something of a mage, with his weight in particular regularly coming under fire from his audience.
Los Polls has unfollowed Drake on Instagram. Buddy, that's not what Drake has unfollowed Los.
And the reason that this is the case is because despite the whole world mocking him, Los has a tendency to take himself pretty seriously. For that reason, it makes poking fun at him enjoyable to the troll. And that's the worst thing you can do. Instead of having thick skin that is required to be in the spotlight, he hates being challenged to the extent that he has proven himself to be very prone to a temper tantrum.
Shit, this is my thing, Chap. Stop. This is my thing with the internet in general, okay? People say shit, and then they go, oh no. You know why? You know why? Nobody's saying shit in real life, bro. Nobody is saying shit in real life. I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care for 4 followers. You're gonna look at your face and tomorrow you're allowed to say some crazy shit. You're not saying that publicly. You're not saying that shit.
Because of Lowe's being easy pickings, this translates into how his colleagues in the streaming world treat him too. As even when he does collab with high-profile figures like XQC, Andrew Tate, or Kai, he's always seen as the butt of the joke among other streamers.
Yeah, hey, keep it close. Tell us who you are.
I don't know. I don't know. Mr. Tooth, my dad is a huge fan, by the way.
I love this particular. He likes Sample Ronaldo, playing with no fear or repercussions, talking to him as though he doesn't involve even a hint of respect.
I'm gonna just have a minute strip. This was face this. It's not.
You're sure it's a big. Sit down. Be ready.
Ask me fucking just.
This stage, what's really keeping Lowe's afloat was the pivot to regularly streaming with his dad.
Why did that? I'm gonna use a bad word. I'm sorry. Why did the window? I'm gonna use a bad word. I'm gonna use a bad word. I'm sorry. Give me reaction to some Legends video. And your comments say. Expose the window.
Referred to as Vlad, the streams with his father seem to get a vastly better response than anything he does solo. But ultimately, it still hasn't stopped the spread of hate and disrespect that he gets.
Okay, let's get over.
At this stage, his dad even got into controversy after the streamer suggested that Kaisen at Streamer University didn't have the honorable intentions that he claimed it to.
Why is somebody on here talking about us? What like he needs anybody? He started a streamer university. Oh, that's a really good. I love it. That's a. What a basically. These idiots that take stand-up comedy classes. You ever see that? It's good. Holy shit! I love it.